Recording in progress.
Hi dear.
Recording stopped.
Hallo.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Good morning, Chairperson.
Good morning. Just 2 minutes.
Okay, Chair.
Morning, Chair.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning, Chair. Everybody. Conrad.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Budget member, say hello.
Yeah, I see you've got some contour next to you there. Thank
Come
you.
again?
I see you've got some contour gamete next to you there.
Yeah, come on, member.
Ungakwazi kuwena umkhondo.
Hey, you must be guided by the chair, Wena.
Good morning, honorable members. I see Honorable Abada, Honorable Poole, Honorable Kerakilwe, Honorable Gamede, Honorable Mpiti, Honorable Makagula, Honorable Ditebe. Where's the Makazi of the committee? I don't see Makazi here. But otherwise, good morning, honorable members. And good morning to the team from the department. I see this team from the ministry. I also see the DDG, Mshongo. I think let's start with our meeting so that we are able to allow honorable members to prepare to travel to Gauteng. Are we ready to start? Secretary?
Yeah.
Secretary?
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning to the members and to everybody in the for this Chairperson. We do have a quorum. We can start the meeting.
Okay. Can we have the agenda? This is the agenda. Opening and welcome apologies. Adoption, opening remarks, briefing by the department, briefing by Western Cape, consideration and adoption of minutes. Can I get a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
Move, Chair.
Honorable Poole, yes.
Seconded, Chairperson, Member Mutakula.
Okay, thanks very much. Any opposing view? Nothing. The agenda is what will guide us. I forgot, are there apologies, Secretary?
Chairperson, we don't have any apologies for today's meeting. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much. We're on item 4. Just to remind honorable members that tomorrow and Friday, we're having meetings in Gauteng. And the department has prepared for us so that we're able to meet the petitioners and also the provinces through their various MECs. I'm aware that the minister, whilst we agreed, but there's a change in terms of program because the president will only arrive either today or tomorrow. Therefore, they've shifted the cabinet from today to Friday. But I said to the minister that if she doesn't have items in the cabinet, she must come and join us. So we're looking forward to fruitful discussions with our provinces. I had discussion with the NCOP, the chairperson thereof. I don't know whether they are still interested in joining us, but we'll hear from you, Secretary, if they are still interested in joining us. The oversight to Free State may not happen as per our planning. Parliament has changed the program. That first week, we're expected to be in the plenary for adoption of the medium-term budget statement. But at the same time, the House Chair, is weary of using staff over weekend. He says unions always complain because they don't have money for overtime. But at the same time, he cautioned us against the festive mood. That normally during that time, you find that even people that you are visiting are not available or are not focusing because everybody is in the festive mood. So I think we must just suggest that we postpone it, and it will be the first when we come back in the new year. Are we agreeing on that one, honorable members?
Agreed, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Agreed. Okay.
Great, Chair.
Those are my remarks. Let's go to number 5. Briefing by the Department of Human Settlement on the strategy to deal with illegal occupation of houses, illegal occupation of land, as well as illegal sales of state subsidized houses. The most senior person I see here is DDG Mhlongo. DDG, are you the one leading us?
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, and good morning, honorable members. Chair, I can proceed. I think maybe the DG is struggling with the connectivity. So if Chair and members allow.
Sorry, Chair. The DG has joined the meeting as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'll hand over to the DG.
DG, welcome.
Good morning, Chair. My apologies, Chair, for joining slightly late. I had to enter the gents' room before. My apologies, Chair.
Okay, I'm not sure whether you are ready.
I am ready, Chair,
well, okay.
and we
If you
can
don't,
proceed on that basis.
Yeah, proceed,
And
DG.
we can request that the presentation be flighted so we can go on, Chair. But just as a start and as an indicator to highlight our
Let's
strategy,
a
Chair.
presentation.
Okay.
Who's flighting it?
Doesn't the Secretariat
You have it,
have the
Secretary?
Good morning, Chairperson. Can I get the name of the presenter, please, so that I can give the rights to share?
Yeah. It may be a challenge on my part, Chair, to share with the type of laptop I'm using for
Give it to
connectivity.
DDG. DDG.
Yes,
Can
you can
you-
give it to Rashni. She will lead the presentation, DG.
Rashni.
Yes, thank you.
Give Rashni co-hosting rights.
Okay, Chair.
Then she can flight it for the DG to continue. In the meantime, you can continue, DG.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I think with respect to this matter, the Portfolio Committee had asked us to present and brief the committee on our strategy that intends to deal with illegal occupation of houses, illegal occupation of land, as well as where we have realized illegal sales of or illegal exchanges of ownership of state subsidized houses. And to that extent, we present this, Chair, in three parts. First, dealing with all of the three issues the Portfolio Committee wants to know how we are dealing with it. We start first by painting a landscape on the challenges that are there. We then zoom into each of the constraints that we are faced up with, but also importantly, we then also highlight where we need legislative review process, casting our eyes ahead of where we ought to go, and then look at the key strategic interventions that we are making in this area to deal with this. At the outset, Chair, we must outline and indicate that we are constrained by the current legal framework, knowing very well that the properties that normally get invaded and that get occupied, these properties from our own concurrent function mandate of the Constitution, they are belonging to municipalities as well as provinces. And since we are not a landowner, we are not having a local standby in judicio to bring an application and proceedings before a court to try, first and foremost on a proactive basis, to prevent illegal occupation of land. And secondly, we are not even in a position to bring applications for eviction of people where they have illegally occupied. So given that constraint, our initial posture was one that really said this matter is a matter for provinces and for municipalities, and that it is their responsibility to implement the law, which law requires of them to actually prevent illegal evictions and to also prevent illegal occupation of land. And to that extent, we have since changed that posture, given the approach and what the minister had directed us look into, and the minister having directed us to deal with this matter in a very different approach, considering that majority of the municipalities are struggling to keep up with this and to be able to bring this to the fore and to implement those legal obligations that they have. So given that our posture now is a much more activist one, is a posture that seeks to say we will provide support and we will actively engage with municipalities to ensure we do advocacy which are there and the responsibilities which they hold and they should implement, and in developing standardized approaches and processes to ensure that our responsiveness to the issues as they are, and to strike the iron when it's hot and to respond adequately and timeously so that we can meet the thresholds of the expectations of the courts in as far as preventing illegal occupation of land. So that posture that we have since adopted is underpinned by three pillars or three pronged approaches. First, we are casting our eyes backwards to look at what has since happened and to then say to ourselves that we will go backwards and investigate where houses have exchanged hands illegally so, and we will then on that basis deal with the culprits that we find, and we will institute, as directed by the minister, a countrywide investigation into the exchanges, and I think will also open up for members of the public to proactively come forward where they think that their houses have been unscrupulously sold, or that they have exchanged hands, or that there have been illegal evictions on their part, and where their houses have been taken, or beneficiaries of those that were allocated houses have lost those houses in an unscrupulous manner. We will investigate all of that and then look at doing restorative work as well as bringing those that have done wrong things to book. We will also, in the current, as I've indicated, do the advocacy work. We have begun with this. Our Capacity Assembly Directorate has begun work of training municipalities and provinces around what the law say and what they need to do, and by when they have to do what, given what we have since learned from the recent decisions of courts. We want to look at that and say to all of the municipalities that this is what you are expected to do when you pick up that people are attempting to illegally occupy land. And we need you to do the following by this time. And we have also began training councillors to keep their eye. And we have also indicated how municipalities could have an early warning system, particularly in the areas that are considered vacant lands and that are most vulnerable for potential occupation, and where the responsiveness and within what timelines they are required to do this, and where they require national support for us to step in, that they also highlight simultaneously to enable us to support them to prevent illegal occupations and to utilize the existing instruments with all the flaws we have identified in these instruments that are overburdened some and that are cumbersome and the rigidness and the timid processes that are there that require of us to follow religiously to prevent illegal occupation. We would still, up until the laws have been amended and the legislation has been reviewed, to however do our best to implement the existing laws and to rely on the existing instruments, because they remain the only instruments we have in this regard to utilize. And to that extent, we are also looking forward, Chair, as I've indicated, and us casting our eyes going ahead, that with the legislative review processes and with the strengthened capacity to be responsive, then we would be in a better position to proactively prevent this from occurring, and even more importantly, to be swift in our response where we see an occurrence of this nature. So given that three approaches and three-pronged things, Chair, with your indulgence, I'm going to request that Ms. Rashni Atkins come in and brief the committee on the specific current landscape and challenges, and also on the specific interventions we're looking at in that regard, and to take members through the remainder of the presentation as such. Chair, with your indulgence, I request that Ms. Rashni come in and proceed.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, Minister, and good morning, DG and colleagues online. Chair, through you, I will proceed. I just want to make sure the presentation is still flighted. Is it still flighted, Chair?
Yes, Rashni, I think you just need to put it on slide mode.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Chair. Honorable Chair.
Maybe before you continue, Rashni,
Yes, Chair.
informed that the minister has joined us. Welcome, Honorable Minister. Minister?
I'm also here, by the way, from the beginning of the meeting, Chairperson.
Oh,
thank you very much.
See you. Welcome. Welcome. Very welcome. Welcome. I think you found our service started with the meeting. We'll continue with the presentation. You'll make comments, if any, at the end of the presentation. Ms. Rashni.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and good morning once again to yourself and honorable members and honorable Minister, honorable DM. Chair, I will take over from where DG has just given a background to what is our approach to addressing the unlawful occupation of land and houses. Perhaps to indicate that currently our challenges related to the illegal occupation of land has been that due to the scarcity of housing, but also the ongoing challenges around urbanization, and we see a lot of this happening in informal settlements around our cities. Municipalities continuously face these problems around unauthorized land occupations and growing informal settlements. And even though they might have existing bylaws in place, it's not been good enough in terms of enforcement, but also exacerbated by or underpinned by the fact that court rulings require that in terms of PI, that municipalities address these illegal occupations by not evicting people and forcefully removing them, but by ensuring that we provide emergency housing as we seek a longer term solution. The other issue around the illegal occupation of houses has been that on many occasions we build subsidized housing, and due to a number of challenges within municipalities, but also the ability to manage what happens on housing projects, you find that unauthorized occupancy of subsidized housing, as well as the PI Act being applied to private homes that are also being invaded. And so eviction and resettlement processes as a result have been challenging. In terms of the illegal sales of subsidized housing, we find that there has been cases where beneficiaries have not been or have been selling houses illegally, or also renting that illegally. And because we are unable to keep track of these transactions, we find that a lot of this is undermining the integrity of the subsidy program. And as I indicated, because also it's happening informally, we find that we are unable to also conclude on the title deeds process. So, Chair, in terms of the if I zoom into the illegal occupation of houses and land, one of the pertinent legislation that we have to look at and is still applicable is that of the Prevention of Illegal Eviction from Unlawful Occupation of Land Act, which was enacted in 1998. And Chair, I think to appreciate the fact that in as much as PI has contributed to a lot of the problems that we cannot forcefully evict people, it also is there in place to ensure that people are not homeless, and hence the court orders to ensure that as government we provide emergency housing as we seek a longer term solution. So where unlawful occupiers have established a home on land or unlawfully occupying a house, they cannot be removed because of a number of court orders that are issued to the municipality. The Act also distinguishes between those unlawful occupiers occupying land or house within a 6-month period and before. And the difference there is just that the conditions applied to unlawful occupiers of land within a 6-month period versus the longer term is more stringent. So the courts then apply the conditions to the eviction order, which then municipalities and provinces have to abide to. Where an eviction leads to homelessness, the owner has the right to ensure that whatever rights they have on their property is suspended until those illegal occupiers have been provided with alternative accommodation. So those are some of the challenges in terms of PI. And if we talk about amendments, we're really talking about how do we relieve the administrative burden on municipalities and provinces, landowners, in terms of applying the PI Act. The other important act to note has been the SPLUMA, which really gives municipalities the power to manage the land use management processes and bylaws. And so the ability for municipalities to control land invasion sits with them. However, it's the enforcement of that becomes critical. And I think many of us are familiar with the National Spatial Development Framework, the Provincial Spatial Development Framework, which then filters down into municipal SDFs from which land use management schemes are developed. And the bylaws are really what ensure that these schemes are implemented effectively and gives effect to SPLUMA. Chair, this is just a map to indicate that we are, as a department, keeping track and intend to improve on our systems and process to keep track of especially the growth of informal settlements. In 2021-22, we see the brown dots in terms of the number of informal settlements that there are. And today, the blue dots just show the growth in informal settlements. So essentially, this is important for us to be able to have a really full picture and appreciation of the problem in terms of land invasions that municipalities are facing. This is just another perspective of that slide in terms of the growth areas. And we see a lot of the growth happening in your urban areas and secondary cities. Chair, a slide to demonstrate that we are very cognizant of the fact that where land invasions are happening, it's impacting on a number of servitudes, for example, ESCOM, and that if we don't work proactively with the relevant sectors, industries, and also provinces and municipalities, we might not be able to address the problem comprehensively. So there is an integrated and holistic approach that's required to work with all of the stakeholders to manage land invasions. As I indicated, Chair, that the measures in place to curb land invasions, the authority and power really sits with local government in terms of their bylaws. But there's been weak enforcement of that. And even though PI and SPLUMA allows for certain provisions to ensure that municipalities manage it, they've been unable to enforce it. And so as a department, we've managed to make sure that we do collaborate with province and municipalities. And in instances where there's evictions, we've been able to ensure that those processes are managed fairly and in a just manner. We've also been working and advising provinces and municipalities to consider where land is purchased in terms of strategic location of land, especially in urban and secondary cities, and how these land parcels are released effectively fast enough to ensure that development happens. So we deal with the problems related to land invasions. So we are working very closely with relevant sector departments, public works, rural development, to ensure that especially state-owned land is released for human settlements development. As DJ has indicated, we've commenced with the white paper process, which has been very clear about the need to make certain amendments to the PI Act so that we relieve some of the administrative burden on municipalities to fast-track land invasions, or to prevent land invasions, and to fast-track the measures that need to be put in place. In terms of the illegal sales of state-subsidized houses, the relevant sections of the Housing Act allow that no beneficiary shall be able to sell their house within an 8-year period, or even their beneficiaries. And this has been proven to be problematic in terms of enforcement as well, and to prevent illegal sales. And we then are also looking to review the Housing Act, especially to reduce the 8-year period to a minimum of 5-year period. So in terms of the legislative amendments, Chair, we are proposing the amendment to the PI Act in terms of the administrative processes, the amendment to the Housing Act in the context of what emerges out of the white paper process, and that in particular, if we zoom into the Housing Act, the preemptive clause, we want to reduce from 8 to 5 years. So Chair, the department will still continue, as DJ has indicated, to continue implementing some of the rules and measures that we have in place with provinces, working very closely with them, also with municipalities. And you know, alongside all of this, Chair, we're pushing our programs in terms of utilizing inner city buildings for social housing and affordable rental housing. And it's important also to bring the relevant stakeholders on board, including the private sector. So in conclusion, Chair, as I've indicated, one of our key strategic interventions is what we've started with in terms of the white paper, and looking to streamline some of the processes within PI through the revision of the Housing Act, ensure that we are allocating housing and it's reaching the intended beneficiaries. So the beneficiary management processes and the systems that are currently in existence, we're looking at that as well, to ensure that there's efficiency in the process, and that beneficiaries receive their housing, or the right beneficiaries are receiving the housing. And I think that that intends to close the gap and avoid the illegal occupation of houses, especially state-subsidized housing. We also recognize that we need to increase public awareness around the options of how home ownership can be undertaken, especially by beneficiaries. So in the importance of title deeds and what that means for asset poverty, moving beneficiaries up the housing ladder. So public awareness in terms of home ownership is very important. That we need to be informing communities through municipalities about their housing and land rights and the legal processes that they need to be aware of in order to maintain and keep within themselves the properties that they've been handed over. Chair, we're also looking at strengthening the housing allocation system. As I indicated, we're looking at our existing systems in terms of beneficiary management, improving the transparency of that, and ensuring that we're establishing trust with communities as we allocate those processes. We are aware of a number of issues that communities bring to us around how houses are not allocated properly to them. And so we are now looking at our own processes and systems to improve on that. DJ has touched on the need to collaborate with municipalities and provinces, and that with COCTA as well as with SALGA, the need to improve on capacity within municipalities to enforce and improve their local monitoring systems. Chair, that's the presentation, and we would request that the Portfolio Committee notes the approach that we're currently working with and the processes that we're looking to review in the approach that we've adopted. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for the presentation. Not sure whether DG you want to add something before the Deputy Minister and the Minister.
No, Chair. I think that is our presentation as it is. Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay. DM, you have a comment?
Morning, Chair and the Portfolio Committee members, and the team from the department led by the DG. Chair can allow the Portfolio Committee members to engage on the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, DM. I don't see the Minister. Is the Minister in? I don't see her. Okay. Honorable members, there it is. There's the report. Let's engage with it. Honorable Mpiti. I only see the hand of Honorable Mpiti for now. Continue, Honorable Mpiti.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Very good morning to honorable members, and also just to also say that I welcome the report as presented, and appreciate that the department has taken time to present this document. Chair, on my side, there's not much to really comment on. However, I just wanted to say that I definitely welcome the review of the PI Act as indicated in the presentation, because I do think when you do look at clause 1, 2, and 3, they are deeply problematic, as I said in the last meeting. So I do welcome that particular point. However, my biggest concern about the presentation is that there's really not been a mention as to how the department is combating the criminality of land invasions, particularly as and when they do happen. What the presentation has done is to speak to the policy approach of the department, which I think is in order. However, I don't feel that the matters around how the department, together with other departments, are working together to really start dealing with the criminality of land invasions, because these are happening across the country. And we really, for me, I'm not quite seeing what the strategy the department is putting in place to deal with that. And secondly, to speak on, social housing and BNG housing, for example, where we do see in some communities these projects, before beneficiaries can be allocated to the different units, people are entering these particular projects and occupying and refusing to leave. And so these things, for me, is trying to understand what is the department's approach when these particular issues do take place on the ground, and what is the strategy. And I think from the document below, I have not been able to really gauge how the department deals with criminality. The other suggestion that I had made in the committee was, the coordination. Has there been any coordination with the Department of Human Settlements, with police, for example, to deal with land invasions? What type of coordination has taken place there? Because I think this is obviously not an independent function that human settlements can take alone. So therefore, there needs to be some form of interdependency between government departments to deal with land invasions. And these are issues that continue widely. On a weekly basis, I receive reports of land invasions that are taking place across the country. And the last report that I received, Honorable Chair, if you would allow me, is that we received information from Free State to say that there's land invasions that are taking there, and so I think it's also important for us to understand what is the process in which the department wants us to follow. Should we receive these particular reports? How do we actually take it forward? But I think in the main, Chair, as I conclude, is that there definitely is a need for legislation to speak to the current challenges that we are experiencing. And so I know that we were supposed to do with an amendment of a proposed amendment from a private member's bill as a portfolio committee this year, but I think we've run out of time. But I think these are things that the committee really needs to consider because they are challenging. And of course, the PI Act is both important for the protection of people who are at risk of being homeless. But I think the measures of being able to provide adequate or emergency housing is also a valid point in the PI Act. But yeah, I would just like to make those comments, Chair, on the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Abada.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning to the committee members, DM, Minister. I'm going to be very quick with what I have to say. So just with what Honorable PT has just said with regards to the security, we've posed this question previously, and I know that they said that there's no budget with regards to security, but this seems to be an ongoing issue, and we need to really look at this. Management initiative that have said we can't continue, on this with the security issue. The other thing is in terms of the land invaders. I know that there's we're looking at moving them out in order to put in the rightful owners. But what happens to them in that time? Because if you're going to remove them, then they're just going to find another spot and invade there. So I don't see any provisions being made for them as well. So that's just my two questions for now. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Kahakile.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, honorable members, DM, and the officials from the department. Mara, what I want to say is to appreciate the presentation, that at least we have a clear understanding. It was just straightforward. And also appreciate that the department is gonna train the municipalities and the provinces as to what is their role with regard to illegal invasion or occupation of land or houses. So that one, we really appreciate it. And let it not be on paper. If it can be implemented, because where the department is now, there is nothing that they can do when it comes to the land of the province and the municipalities, but they can empower them and make it a point that they prevent the illegal occupation. And I also, Chair, welcome all the legislative review, especially that one of reducing from 8 years to 5 years. And it's gonna be difficult to deal with the issue of renting of the subsidy houses. Because some people, I met one of our veterans, then I asked her, don't you have a house? And then she said, no, I've rented that house so that I can get something to provide for my family. If that thing is said by somebody in that position, then what about the other poor people? But the municipalities, they need to make it a point that the houses given to a particular family must be occupied by that particular person, not just to rent it. That is why now we've got so many foreigners in our subsidy houses because they are paying. As to how much, we are not sure. That is all that I wanted to say. And to say to the department, keep it up, keep on supporting the municipalities as well as the provinces. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ditebe.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to the Minister, Deputy Minister, DG, and team colleagues. Chair, we do know that the whole issue of human settlements, and if one could lift housing as one component of it, that it is quite multi-layered, it's complex, it's challenging, and therefore any effort, however well-intentioned, to enhance the quality of life of people in various communities across the length and breadth of our country is indeed always going to be impacted by the very nature of the challenge that we are trying to confront through the Department of Human Settlements, which obviously is not working alone, but must work with other departments such as water and sanitation, and indeed all other departments which must ensure that the requisite amenities exist in all of the human settlements across the country. And having said that, Chairperson, I'd like to say this, that perhaps in keeping with what Honorable Kekakile has just said, whilst we know that identification of land, especially where bulk services have been made available, may very well lead to illegal occupation, etc. I would like our department, which I know is doing its best to innovate in the spirit of cooperative government, consistent with the principles enshrined in Section 41 of the Constitution, one of which says that there must be an attempt to create, not verbatim, but the essence of it, trust between the spheres of government. And in this instance, human settlements representing the national sphere of government and working together, of course, with provinces, but its impact or outcomes and impact being felt at most in municipalities, which constitute another sphere of government, and itself being distinct. That is the local government sphere, of course, same as the national sphere of government. That in keeping, for example, with legislation such as the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management Act, the land use schemes. I know it's not within the remit necessarily of the department, but perhaps working also with COCTA very closely. We need to ensure that there is predictability, because we do know that where land use schemes are in place, this has the possibility, Chair, to even attract domestic investment and everything else that should follow within the context of human settlements must indeed be done so that, indeed communities where they live, those areas are habitable. So I'd like to appeal, and the reason I'm prefacing my question with these remarks is simply because of appreciation of the nature of the challenge that either human settlements or COCTA at national level will always be faced with, or any other such department that interacts with municipalities. I'm saying this, Chair, because I think it is important that we do not leave it to chance. And from our own vantage point, certainly as Parliament, exercising oversight, we must not leave it to chance, this whole phenomenon of illegal occupation of land. And I appreciate, as other members do, the review of the PI Act, But the real test in the review will be in the extent to which everything in terms of the letter and spirit of the legislation, the principal legislation, everything, the extent to which it is being implemented to the letter. So that for us is very important because it goes, as I said, to a large extent to enhancing the quality of life of our people. So that's what I'd like to say. And that would also include, Chair, as I conclude, that, you know, in that same ingenious, creative, innovative spirit, if I may make an example with Mangaung, at some point after the Laurier Park illegal occupation of land, the municipality indicated that they have 7 parcels of land. And I'm saying any innovative, creative, ingenious way or avenue must be explored to ensure that incrementally there are bulk services made available in those pieces of land in small, medium-sized, large municipalities, metros, so that we end this thing of illegal occupation of land, because we really have to change the culture of our people. It cannot be that our people come across as deriving pleasure from living in squalor. And we know it takes a lot more. You know, the change in societal attitudes, culture, and resources. But I'm saying, let us take it as our joint and collective responsibility together with the department and persist with it, Chair, until we carry it to its logical conclusion. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable Poole.
Thank you, Chair, and greetings to all our members and to the Minister and Deputy Minister, as well as the DG and the officials. Thank you. Good morning. Not repeating everything was said before, Chairperson, and I agree with the previous speakers or the members that speak. But what stands out in the presentation is that human settlements alluded to it, that it's a very complex situation or space where we're operating in if it comes to human settlements. And the one thing that stands out is that they also mentioned that they have to strengthen legislation and regulations to talk to that many laws that regulate human settlements in that matter, putting extra burden on the local municipality that is unaffordable at some cases. So that is for me a well suggestion from the department. And then, of course, everybody talk about it, is a collaboration between government departments, housing, law enforcement, everything. I don't believe that everything vested only on the responsibility of human settlements, but everybody have a role to play. And I think we have to enforce that, and we have to promote it. And then, of course, Member Cello has talked about the culture and how people behaving, and that's quite right. And I believe we have to start a communication with our residents so that we can have an effective communication and engagement with communities. That's all I want to say, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gamede.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mine is too short. First of all, I just wanted to welcome the presentation. I think mine is to check maybe the department has got a plan in place as to how to balance the rights and responsibilities. To prevention of illegal land invasion with the protection of vulnerability or to those vulnerable communities from displacement or eviction without adequate housing alternatives. That's the first one. And the last one will be the engagement and awareness. What role does community engagement play in prevention of legal land invasion? Are there any initiatives designed to educate communities about the legal consequences of land invasion and available lawful housing solutions? Thanks, Chair.
Thanks very much. GM.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, as Honorable Betty said earlier on, the presentation is straightforward, but safe to say that some provinces deliberately they are not allocating for some informal settlements to be upgraded. For instance, that was my network problems, Chair, as I indicated. I'm not sure if I'm still audible.
You are audible, dear.
Yeah, for instance, if you take the case of the Western Cape, the Western Cape is not budgeting for the Stellenbosch informal settlements. It only budgeted for Kayamnandi informal settlements, which is zone O, about 13 million. But I think in the next meeting, we will have to also table that before the portfolio committee, so that at the level of Parliament and the NCOP, there are some interventions that are made, so that we are able to holistically at all levels of government try and mitigate and intervene on the issue of the informal settlements upgrade and the eradication of the human settlements, because it becomes our responsibility collectively in all spheres of government. Because if you budget for this informal settlement and not budget for the other informal settlement, even though the department has allocated funds to the province, I think that issue also is taking us backward. But the presentation, chairperson by the DG and his colleagues, is straightforward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DM. DG.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and questions and comments that have been made. And just to respond to some of them that have been brought forward. At an outset, we need to indicate that indeed we have highlighted the limitation that is before us from being an actor of first instance. And Honorable Mpiti says he just doesn't see what our strategy is. We have indicated that it's a three-pronged approach in terms of our strategy, what we are trying to do. And secondly, we are also aware that we need to strengthen the hands of the municipalities, and that's where our paid focus has been at. And with what Honorable Ditebe say, it shouldn't just be on paper, and what Honorable Khakilwe say, we ought to actually ensure implementation of the capacity building process. It will give comfort to the members to know that indeed we had started with the training programs, and that the first of the municipalities in the Eastern Cape were with the training program there, and we will be going right to training municipalities in terms of what they need to. Indeed, if what you follow, where the growth points are, where the pressure points are, we are a bit more targeted and we are a bit more smarter in our response and in our preparedness, that we are looking at the areas that are most vulnerable for illegal occupation. And this is where we have decided that we need to start first. We have begun work with these metros in providing the requisite support and in ensuring their state of readiness to be responsive immediately when they get information and they realize that a parcel of land is being illegally occupied, that the responsiveness is adequate at that stage, because this is where we have previously fell short, and as government, our inability to immediately respond within the requisite 24 hours it's important for us to ensure that everyone is on their toes to be able to immediately respond. So that part is clear in terms of what we are doing. But secondly, we know that the limitations that are there are inherent in the law. And I think in that context, we are the first ones to say that there is a need for a legislative review process. We have highlighted it as part of our process. And emanating as an offshoot of the white paper, we are clear on having done two things. First, from the experience of governance, having seen the lessons on the ground and what we have seen. And secondly, from reviewing the latest decisions of the courts in terms of what the courts have said, and in various aspects where the courts have even said that people who have even settled less than 24 hours in some circumstances, that they be allowed to stay and that government provide all of this. We have looked carefully at what that means, and we have synthesized that information, repackaged our approaches, and then provide capacity to municipalities clearly in terms of what they need to do as actors of first instance. One needs to also indicate that we have heightened our own engagements within the JCPS cluster. We had previously been seen just as a passive member. We are now much more active. It is not only the matter of land invasions that we are looking at in relative to our participation in that cluster, and in terms of the operations that cluster then pursue in response of this in enforcement of the current law. We have said that as part of our three-pronged process is the observance and enforcement of the current laws. And that's what we said, that with all their limitations, what they are, our paid focus now is on ensuring that we strive for implementation of what exists in the framework of the law. And we have highlighted this when we did present, and to that extent, we wish to also indicate that there are other aspects such as issues pertaining to informal settlements and illegal miners and all of those type of things that are relative to our participation in the JCPS at last with respect to the human settlements related aspects. But yes, we have a coordination effort through the JCPS cluster and our participation therein, and we have seen the incorporation of some of these key tenets of our focus areas into the response strategies and operations of the departments in the JCPS, including NS led by police. We also highlight the fact that municipalities, many of them that are vulnerable, and we know their financial situation and their capacity, they are in no shape to be in a position to provide security to guard all of their vacant lands. And I think that we have come to the acceptance that that may be a bridge too far to ask of municipalities, but then what we should have is an early warning system when land gets invaded, and that only as and when that occurs that a responsiveness happens, and that the prevention of that land being illegally occupied occurs of immediate, as the courts direct us that should be the response that is warranted and required. It will not be, we will not be able to police all of the state land and to all of it all the time, but yes, we can respond immediately when people are trying to settle illegally on an available piece of land. And I think that's what we could highlight. We welcome the contribution of Honorable Ditebe in as far as the land use schemes, and we share in what he says, and that is exactly our experience, where we have seen that where these schemes have been employed, what the outcomes have been, and we think that yes, it's a matter that we can learn from and replicate in this regard. And we also accept what Honorable Poole say about the need for collaboration. Indeed, this is our opening salvo in as far as this matter is concerned, to say it isn't primarily our issue, but we have changed our posture and we have taken an activist posture that say, although it is not our issue, we remain a central government and we remain a unitary government, and therefore the centrality of national government from a coordination function point of view of the three spheres, it's unchallenged and unquestionable in terms of the constitution, and therefore national government must also take a lead in support and in guiding the other two spheres in being responsive to their responsibilities in terms of the law. And just to highlight that, yes, our viewpoint is simpler. We want to balance out the rights. If you look at what the law say, the law itself is the prevention of illegal eviction. But that's not the end. Prevention of illegal regard, there has been greater emphasis previously on the first parts and the first aspects of the law. But the other aspects about prevention of illegal occupation, we have been quite muted and not advocating for quite vigorously, as we are supposed to, and that all aspects of the law ought to be ought to be championed and ought to be ventilated and advocated for. We are quick in this regard to point out to the fact that the tenets of and the original intention of what the law intended to do, keeping and ensuring security of tenure for the most vulnerable, is what we share in its vision and in what that law seeks to achieve for us. And in that context, we can give Honorable Gamede the comfort of knowing that we still by far subscribe to what the law intends to do. But we have seen irritations in implementation, particularly around the thresholds the law puts forth first, as government having to cross those thresholds before it actually can evict people, particularly where we see that it is straightforward. These people are not vulnerable. These are working people who, and above the thresholds we have set for those who should qualify for government free housing as well as subsidized housing. And in this regard, we have said that we should make it the law much more responsive and much more supportive and enabling for us to deal with such matters much more speedily and expeditiously, and not to have a protracted process of getting rid of that. And I think in this regard, we are balancing out on the responsibilities. We'll still share strongly and remain with the bias to those who are poor and vulnerable, that where government has a responsibility to them for housing solutions, that government provide that, including emergency housing. But however, where people are not what should qualify in terms of the current policies, that in that regard, we do what is necessary and we allow for the government to be in a better position to respond adequately and the law to be enabling in that regard. So just to respond to those, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DG. I think you have covered all the questions. Unless if honorable members, there's a question that was not answered, you can bring it to our attention. Honorable Ditebe.
Chairperson, thank you. I think the DG has comprehensively covered me and certainly other members. Just one additional point, again stating the obvious. Chairperson, you know, when we hosted the Soccer World Cup in 2010, it was not narrowly out of love for soccer, it was also an instrument to attract investment and to draw certainly attention of the entire globe to achievements of our nascent democracy. And I'm saying this to say, first of all, we need to appreciate and congratulate the minister for her sterling leadership. And this, if anything, for the fact that as far as information that I received goes, UN Habitat will be establishing an office in our country. And I'm raising this because, as you know, we will now be assuming the chairpersonship as a country led by the president of the G20, which consists of 19 countries, and that includes the AU. So I'm saying it is important, as the president said, there will be 130 meetings throughout the country as the country takes or assumes leadership of the G20. This is a body or a bloc that constitutes 83% of the world's GDP, we are told, and 75% of global trade. And I'm saying this, juxtaposing it with the establishment of the UN Habitat Office in our country. And I think that was very much well recognized in the networking session in Cairo, the work that we are doing. So the department, of course, from its own vantage point, in line with the agenda of UN Habitat to eradicate slums and informal settlements, and of course the legislative review that the department is putting forward, and of course the white paper process and all of that. We need to elevate those issues. If anything, through communication, PCOs are there. Members should be able to then inform constituents that this is the work that the department is doing, not that the presence of UN Habitat is something novel or new, or that it replaces what the department has been doing all these years. If anything, it reinforces it. But to also ride the crest of the wave, if you like, with the assumption of chairpersonship of the G20 by South Africa, knowing, chairperson, that among those countries, our GDP is a very small portion of the GDPs of those countries. I think 24 trillion, the United States, 19 trillion, China, and followed, I think, by Japan, etc. But within our own space, I think South Africa has always been able to punch above its weight. And just by way of a comment, let's once again latch onto those two important outcomes, the G20, UN Habitat, and drive this program. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think that is a welcome comment. Honorable members, I don't see any more hands. Let's move to the next item. Item 6. Let's get a presentation from the Department of Human Settlement, Western Cape, with regard to issues of Stellenbosch. Who's presenting?
Ms. Camilla August, chairperson from the Western Cape Provincial Department.
Who's that one?
Ms. Camilla August is leading the delegation from the Western Cape, chairperson.
Camilla August, okay.
Oh, good morning, chairperson. Good morning, colleagues, honorable members. My apologies, we are not necessarily on top of Zoom, so I was looking for the unmute button. My name is Camilla August. I'm the Chief Director responsible for Human Settlement Planning for the Department of Infrastructure within the Western Cape. I submit an apology from our Head of Department, Chantal Smith, and my DDG, Labeka Skierman. We have been asked to present on informal settlements today. I am going to ask our Acting Director for Planning, who is also the Deputy Director for Informal Settlements across the Western Cape, to provide the presentation to the committee with your permission. David, you can please go ahead. I'm not sure if the Secretariat will load the presentation, Chairperson, or if we can do so ourselves. Thank you.
David has the co-host rights. He can fly to the presentation.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. David, you can go ahead.
David, are you there?
Chair, am I audible?
Now you are audible.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning once again, Chair, and members, and the Deputy Minister, and the rest of the officials from both the National Department, Province, and the Municipality. Chair, this to note that this is a joint presentation from both the Municipality and the Province. I need to just confirm if the presentation, you're able to see the presentation, Chair.
Not yet.
And now, Chair?
No.
But now, Chair?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right.
Just put it on slide. Yeah, no, it's fine now.
Mode. All right. Apologies for that. We hardly use we used to MS Teams on our presentation mostly. So this is the joint presentation between ourselves and the municipality. I'll quickly go through the overview of informal settlement in Western Cape, give a guiding principle that we adopt and encourage municipality also to adopt to as a proactive step towards land invasion. I also talk to the summary of informal settlement in Stellenbosch itself and give a spatial distribution of informal settlement, and also give the position of basic services access across all the municipalities' informal settlement, and later talk to the project that we have and the project that we are funding in the area, and also give breakdown on the progress and from the last visit of portfolio committee to the Stellenbosch area. So in terms of Western Cape itself, we have over 1,200 informal settlements in our area that we're dealing with one way or another. So if you look at the 1,229 informal settlement, and yet we are still counting, it's always a battle of what figure do we share. If we go back today again, we might count it's actually probably +1 or +2. So we want this figure to be seen as a not the final figure, but it's always changing figure. Close to 500,000 informal structures that we have in the Western Cape itself, and that's between the metro and the non-metro. The breakdown are on the screen. Cape Winelands, we have 100 informal settlements, up to 40,000 household or structure count that we have there. And if you zoom into Cape Wineland itself and zoom into what we have in Stellenbosch, we have 28 informal settlements in Stellenbosch, which I will talk to in my later presentation. The request came as to ask us what are the pillars and what do we do when we have unlawful occupation of land. The main mandate belongs to the municipality in terms of land ownership most of our projects are held on property owned by the municipalities. So 6 out of multiple basket of solutions that we prefer to municipality and to ourselves are listed on the screen, which entails conducting land audit to determine what land are susceptible to unlawful land occupation that are owned by municipality or that are planned for human settlement development. Those are the things that we encourage municipality to do, which are carefully mapped and brought to the attention of various stakeholders that are involved in assisting in policing or preventing the land occupation. Further to that item, we also look at identifying, registering, numbering, and categorizing all our informal settlement in Western Cape. That's where we are able to give you comprehensive list and details of all the informal settlement in Western Cape as we are still counting. Acquiring and preparing habitable land for housing development, which we always do, and that's what we always have our own human settlement pipeline, a municipality, and detail also go to per town. So accommodating incremental settlement within spatial planning and land use management systems is what we've been promoting in Western Cape, and we will continue to promote that in as we go along in the shift from eradication of informal settlement to incremental upgrading of informal settlement. We also implement land allocation strategy where we develop service site. We have the beneficiary allocation criteria that we use in allocating service site. And in some other areas, we also identify potential unauthorized land occupation for proactive intervention. Proactive intervention means that we sensitize the law enforcement and all security cluster department to be able to assist to unlock that. I think that's the response, our response to the question. Just to note that these are example of the whole basket of solution that we bring on the table for the municipality and ourselves to implement in the space. As I've mentioned earlier, we have 28 informal settlement in the Stellenbosch area, which I won't give the list. So it's all about 11,203 informal structures across. The majority of this informal settlement are situated on municipal land, which are also categorized. And this gives you the picture of what we have in the entire Western Cape of all the informal settlement and the different categorization in the space. Majority are categorized as B. Some of them are also C in the main. So in terms of distribution, if you look at the largest concentration of informal settlement, it's in Kayamandi, and the settlement has received some level of access to basic services in the past, and ongoing improvement in terms of maintenance and operation are also carry on. We will go to the next breakdown of the list, where we talk about the basic services reach out to all this informal settlement. The breakdown is right in front of us, with majority of all the informal settlement having access to basic services. If you look at the 4 settlement highlighted in red, Fisher Street, Langrag, and Merlist are the ones that we challenge with the level of basic services that we seek to as the minimum standard. So in terms of our business plan, that like the GM mentioned earlier, we have limitation in terms of funding to all the informal settlement, 28 informal settlement where the funding can reach. If you also consider the bulk infrastructure required to unlock informal settlement that are located in remote areas is also a challenge for us. So this is our ISUPG funding commitment. Out of the 332 million that we receive, 26 million is going to Stellenbosch as per the adjusted business plan. And if you look at the outer year as well, 2025-26, we're projecting 24 million, and 26-27, we're projecting 29 million on projects such as Kayamandi Center, Kayamandi Zone O, La Rochelle, Franschhoek, Moivata, which we also currently busy with. We have Kayamandi in Kanini, Langrag Dam, and Kayamandi Hostess upgrade in terms of asbestos. So these are the projects that we are funding through our ISUPG. I'll go through the HSDG itself. Apart from utilizing the ISUPG, which is the Informal Settlement Upgrading and Partnership Grant, to respond to human settlement challenges in the area, we also utilize the HSDG to be able to give dignified housing units to household. In the current year, the February submission business plan, we had 50, but due to challenges on site, we've shifted it to 2025-26 in our adjustment based on the readiness on site. In the main, if we go to the experience of Kayamandi, we have a UISP project being packaged, and Kayamandi Center and Zone Ho in Kanini are three key projects that we are running in Kayamandi itself. I will move to the next one, which is Jamestown. Jamestown is associated with the big portion of land that is currently in planning and packaging in the Jamestown area to respond to the entire housing backlog in the area. Is one of the key projects that we've highlighted in Stellenbosch for intervention. The Clapmont area is also linked to the La Rochelle project. It's currently in also project packaging, but considering to be given increase in the project scale of address in getting beneficiaries from different informal settlement pockets that are listed in the Clapmont area. And when we get to Franschhoek has got a Langrag, which is the biggest informal settlement in the area, and we have seen the servicing of site in that area, which would deliver some level of service site, and we'll be moving people out of the Langrag Dam to be able to accommodate them on the service site that we're currently rolling out there. The challenge on this particular project entails the relocation, which means that the relocation comes with some level of emergency shelter that is required for the relocation to happen. The picture here shows the Langrag Dam itself and the current progress on site as of end of October, where we are in terms of servicing the site. So we're trying to clear the Langrag Dam. On the top picture of the slide shows our Langrag Dam. So we deem this as an emergency situation that requires emergency response, and we've secured, the municipality has secured HINEP funding for the electrification of the relocation. We are currently awaiting confirmation from National Department through our engagement with DDG Zama. We've been reaching out to be able to secure emergency shelter for the relocation to happen. So in the negotiation process, Stellenbosch Municipality through their council has also decided to go ahead with the procurement of Wendy houses to be able to effectively conduct the relocation that is required in the area. From your last visit, we issue about the Wendy houses in the East Informal Settlement have also been resolved by the municipality. We can see the image from the precarious situation they were sitting before and after. So the last time the portfolio committee was in the area shows that there is a progress on site in terms of providing new Wendy houses to the households identified as living in squatters. So given the challenge in the area, the property that is required to unlock human settlement development in the area, the municipality and ourselves, we've gotten HDA on board to facilitate the transfer of the property that we've identified for development from public works to the municipality, so that ultimately the human settlement intervention can take place and the transfer to the municipality to the beneficiaries can also happen in the space. Chair, apart from all these interventions that we've listed, we've seen NGO working in Langrod that is also facilitating incremental housing approach, which will at some point we will have to share with you if time allows in future, or when next you visit Stellenbosch, we'll be able to take you through to the site to show you the incremental approach that Stellenbosch municipality and the NGO that is working in the Langrod are working on with ourselves. Chair, that's the presentation from our side. Thank you. I'm not sure if Stellenbosch and my colleagues wants to add to the information provided here today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any addition, Chief Director?
Sorry, Chairperson, no, thank you. David's done a good job. I'm happy with that. Perhaps if the municipality would like to add something. Thank you.
Anybody from the municipality?
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Anthony Barnes. I'm the Director for Planning and Economic Development here at Stellenbosch Municipality. With me in my office, I've got the Manager for Informal Settlements, Mr. Joru Rabine, and the Manager for Housing Development, Mr. Lester van Stavel. At this stage, Chairperson, we're happy with the presentation made by the Provincial Department, and we are here in terms of answering any questions that you or your honorable committee members may have. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Secretary, the concerned person, is he or she on the platform?
No, Chairperson, she could manage to join the meeting, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Honorable members, there is a presentation. Can we engage with it? I see no hand. It means the presentation was proper. Oh, Honorable Karakile. Honorable Karakile.
Thank you, Chair. Let me welcome the presentation, which was straightforward. I've got some few questions. The first one is with regard to the landowners. I've noticed that some of the lands are owned privately, and there is one which is owned by Republic of South Africa. And then what I want to know, does the department have a strategy on how to convince the private owners to avail the land for human settlement, as well as a strategy on how to get that land owned by Republic of South Africa to be transferred to the human settlement? And then there are some settlements where there is no access to basic services like the presenter has said. So I just want to know what is it that they are going to do, or any plan to ensure that there is water and electricity in those areas. And then the other question is, how long does it take to finalize the packaging of the project? And then I've noticed that some of the residents were going to be accommodated in other settlements, like for example, the GIF informal settlement, Mandela City, and Mountain View. The question with regard to relocation of this, I just want to know if all residents were consulted. Did they agree to be moved? And what is the plan to ensure that the plan of the department as well as the municipality is achieved? And then the other thing is with regard to the packaging of Northern Extension project. I just want to know as to when will it be completed? And then in the presentation, there is this provision of Wendy houses. Unfortunately, it was not stated whether all those who were in need of those houses were covered, because it is reported that a substantial number of Wendy houses have been given to people. What is the actual number of those Wendy houses? Those are my questions, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ditebe.
Hello, Chairperson.
Hello, Secretary.
Hello, Chair. Sorry, Ms. Nuran has joined the meeting, and she would like to make an input. The activist from Stellenbosch. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Let's hear Honorable Ditebe. She will come in.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thanks to the provincial government and the city for the information, and greetings to everybody. Chairperson, I'd like to know, just in terms of planning and scenario plotting, etc. And I know it's a very difficult one to answer with precision, but given the population, and we've been given numbers there, given the population that's situated in those informal settlements, how long will it take to deliver on the formalization of those structures, and more or less how much will be required to do that? And just apart from the provision of shelter, what are the long-term plans to ensure that those areas are habitable, in particular to ensure that people actually do feel that they belong in areas where they are being accommodated, in the informal settlements or even slums that are being formalized? Any idea between the department, provincial department, and the city as far as that projection is concerned? Chairperson, thank you very much.
Thank you. Chief Director, Municipality, can we respond to the questions?
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, members, for the questions. With your permission, Chairperson, I am going to ask the municipality to respond. The municipality has a detailed human settlement plan, which addresses some of the questions that's asked. Anthony, if you and your team would like to go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I'm going to hand over to the manager, Informal Settlements, Mr. Jared O'Bain, to answer some of your questions. And as I indicated earlier, I also have the Manager for Housing Development here with me, Mr. Lester van Stavel, and he will also address some of the questions. Mr. Rubain.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Good morning, everybody. Joru Rubain, Stellenbosch Municipality, Manager Department, Informal Settlement. I trust everybody can hear me clearly. So I'll just run through the questions as we receive them. If there's any mistake that we made in recording them, please just inform me as I go along. So the first question was about land ownership. There's various forms of land ownership within the municipality. However, we are guided by the municipality's business plan as to how do we deal with those various pieces of property. Now, if you talk about land ownership, I assume you are referring to the one settlement, the GIF, which is on privately owned land. And the last time around when the portfolio committee was with us in Stellenbosch, we were on site and spoke to those families who indicated that they are willing to move, but that move is only to Earth 64, which is in the vicinity of where they are currently staying. So it's basically within a stone's throw from where they are. And in the meantime, we have had contact with them all the time to just give them feedback on where we are with the transfer of Earth 64 from Department of Public Works to Stellenbosch Municipality. And that is 13 families that we are talking about. Insofar as the other public works properties that's also mentioned or was shown on Mr. Ali's presentation, there is a committee that has been set up between ourselves, National Department of Public Works, and provincial or regional Department of Public Works, where we are working out or ironing out issues around transfer of the various properties where development is most likely to take place and where it would be most cost effective to do development on those particular properties. Lester, I'm going to give over the second one to you and then I'll take on the rest again. So the next question was, how long does it take to deal with package plans or to package plans for development?
Thank you very much. Chair and honorable members, from the municipality side, we need to firstly always get the development rights in place. And as we know, that is a lengthy process. After the feasibility studies that needs to be done, then we go into the obtaining development rights. That can take anything between 3 to 5 years. And that's also linked to the business plan and the funding that's available on the provincial budget. So we link the three together and we try to then formalize a workable plan that will then enable us to start the project. We also have to then follow our procurement processes too. That's on the package plan. So it could take anything between 3 to 5 years before a project could start if there is no appeals and no objections that we receive from the interested and affected parties involved. The last one that I think that might also have an impact on me is the question regarding the northern extension and how far we are with that particular project. We have completed every aspect. The final layout will now be submitted to the engineering department for approval, and thereafter the development rights will be submitted, or the application will then go to the Municipal Planning Tribunal to be either approved or opposed, pending on the application. We trust it will be successfully looked at by the MPT, because we have taken all of the aspects with such a huge project of more than 3,500 opportunities into consideration. We also yesterday had a very successful meeting with senior staff from the National Department of Human Settlements, as well as the Provincial Department of Human Settlements and the municipality, especially looking at the bulk services and the funding mechanism and how to successfully implement the project. So we are looking at implementation, if everything goes well, in the 25-26 financial year of both the Department of Human Settlements as well as the municipal budget year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lester. I'll just take over from Lester again with your indulgence, Chairperson. So there was a question also about access to basic services and what strategy the municipality has in place. So the municipality has a ABS strategy or plan. basically that it describes and deals with how do we implement ABS or access to basic services over time and over periods. So that plan has two components. The one is new ablution facilities, and the other deals with existing and maintenance of existing ablution facilities. So the municipality has a two-pronged plan. The one plan deals with maintenance only, where we look after toilets, where we have a contractor that sort of clean all these facilities. And then also we have a team from the Informal Settlements Department that is currently out on site just to finalize a maintenance plan for the next MTRIF period, which we will then put into our budget in the next budget cycle. Then also we have new new ablution facilities that we are planning in specifically, and I think Mr. Ali also mentioned it, in Kanini, amongst others, we are looking to increase the number of toilet facilities so that we can again get back to the national standard of 1 toilet per 5 families and 1 tap per 25 families as a minimum standard, where the municipality wants to provide basic services. Lastly, I want to say all this information is captured in a ABS matrix, which then highlights all the provision criteria and so forth that the municipality uses to determine if we are over, under, or whatever the situation is with our provision in the respective areas. Then there was a question about what about the relocation. So if we talk about relocations, I'm going to zoom in on the 2 areas that we visited. The one was Langerig and the other was Jamestown. Mr. Van Stavel, I'm not sure if you're going to speak about it, Lester, again, but let me just talk about Jamestown, that the last time around, and I think Mr. Ali's presentation also showed the before and after photos of the various windy houses that we replaced over in the last year. So what we have replaced as part of a replacement program, because we developed that program, is about 50 windy houses. Then we've also, where fire or flooding and so forth, we've also replaced about 25 in those instances. However, that is not part of our broader replacement program, which we look at the state of the windy house. Whilst it was not, the deterioration was not necessarily caused by an immediate emergency. And to that effect, I can say that the MPT, or our MPT, has approved the plans for Jamestown, and moving forward, there's for the next MTRIF period, there's about 72 million rand on the budget, if I'm not speaking under correction, which is split into 25 for the next financial year starting, or the provincial financial year starting 1 April 2025, and 46 million for the year thereafter. Once that project is underway, the people that are currently staying in the windy houses that we visited last time around will then be moved. Obviously, qualifying people will be moved to the formal project in Jamestown Mountain View, and a phase 4 is currently also in planning, or just in planning at this stage. Then back to Langerig relocation, we have about 214. The lady asked, or the honourable member asked, how many people are there? There are about 214 people residing on the dam, or in the dam in Langerig. Again, Mr. Ali had that photo of what it looks like when it rains in that dam, and how that structure was half underwater. So we are in the process we are advanced in the process of relocating those families to 3229. Which is an area that we developed so that it can become the decanting site for the Langerig area, so that we can move people away and then rehabilitate that area in order to either move people there back again, or commence or move forward with the development of Langerig proper again. So again, as I said, there's 214 opportunities on Earth 3229, which is just a stone's throw away again from where the people are currently residing within the dam and on the dam wall, which is currently being eroded by people digging deeper and deeper into the dam for sand and or to construct or extend their existing structures. Now, I think Mr. Ali also indicated on one of these slides that we've been in contact with the National Department now for the better part of a year. to apply for emergency funding so that we can have top structures. The municipality to date has been unsuccessful in obtaining that funding and or an answer from what we must do with that respect. So in the previous council meeting, it was decided that the municipality would use its own CRR funds to procure windy houses, 214 windy houses, so that we can move those people from a very unsafe and dangerous situation to hopefully a much safer environment. Also, we had to make that move because the municipalities with a gun against his head that the INEP funds that was approved for that development will lapse at the end of March this year, and we are my apologies, end of March 2025, and we are under pressure to make this project work from that perspective. Thank you. Sorry, there was one last question about security of tenure. Is that the municipality in its broader scheme of the informal settlement strategy is always trying to ensure that people are not uprooted or moved or put in a difficult situation because of where they are. So the municipality has two other programs that it deals with. The one is the security of tenure. Yes, you don't get transfer of property, but the municipality is not going after you either to evict you willy-nilly. That's the one. And the other is the project or program that the municipality is currently busy with also is the electrification of informal settlements program, which saw that in the last financial year, or sorry, at the beginning of this financial year, the last of 3,000 electrical connections was done in Kanini, and further plans are afoot to electrify any other informal settlement that is not currently on the grid. Then there was a question about, I think, also on back to the slide where Mr. Ali had the 4 red lines. So I just want to confirm that there are no informal settlements in Stellenbosch that does not have access to basic services. The one issue that we might have is that not everywhere we are within the national norm and standard. And the reason for that is informal settlements are fluid areas. And as much as we try to monitor it all the time, here and there are people that are moving into the area, and the areas are constantly metamorphosizing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. That's the input from Stellenbosch.
Thanks very much for the responses. Just before I allow the activists to present, Chief Director, there is this allegation that you are receiving about $500 million from the National Department, but you are not budgeting for Stellenbosch informal settlement. The allegation goes that you have budgeted only 13 million out of that $500 million.
Chairperson, thank you for the question. Mr. Ali has shown on a slide the funding that's been set aside for Stellenbosch Municipality. And while I was busy with that, I quickly looked at the funding granted. So for ISUPG 25-26, of the total informal settlement grant, 7.3% has been allocated to Stellenbosch. 26-27, 16% of the grant, and considering there's 24 non-metro municipalities, is going to Stellenbosch. And in 27-28, that's the least at this stage, and it changes as we do the business plan every year. It looks like 11 million. In HSDG as well, as David said earlier, Chairperson, there is funding in HSDG that's also allocated to fund for Stellenbosch, 25-26. And Chairperson, we are busy finalizing our business plan. So if this is a couple of rands out, our business plan will be finalized in before the end of November. We want to try and get it international soon. But as things stand now, the project's in for 25-26, it's close to 40 million HSDG. 26-27, it's over 140 million, and 27-28, 136 million. So the allegation of 13 million, I would be very interested to understand where that 13 million comes from. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. I think because in the last administration, the portfolio committee came there, or before that, Honorable Poole.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation, and then, of course, for the comprehensive answers on the questions. My one gray area or not a gray area is I need to know if Stellenbosch Municipality there's four projects that's within the floodline, and I think the official explained 3 of it, but there's one left, Siaslala. Do they have plans for it, and where will that people go? I just know if there is any plans for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stellenbosch.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for the question. Mr. Robijn will respond.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you, Honorable Poole. Siaslala is in Kayamandi. It is a bit far away from where the floodline is, but I think you are generalizing in the area. Basically, there are some people that are just below the TRA1. For those who know Stellenbosch more better, and I'm just talking for my colleagues to orientate them also, is that there are some people that are between the, shall I say, the riverbank and the last road in the TRA1. Those people are identified to be accommodated in some form or fashion within the northern extension so that we can rehabilitate the area. That is about, I think, 50 to 100 families at most that are residing along that long strip of road and river.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thanks very much. Can I allow the activist secretary to make a presentation? What's her name again?
It's Nuran, Chairperson.
All right. You are allowed to address you are welcome, and you are allowed to address the committee.
Good afternoon, or I don't know what's the time, but thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. Before I start, I just want to, for interesting sake, if the Human Rights Commission is very active in our country, and we have basic rights in our country. So if we have a Human Rights Commission, how is it possible that we can get to a point where we have to discuss in what conditions our people are staying if the Human Rights Commission is doing what they are supposed to do? That is just a thought. What I want to know, informal settlements in itself is very, very dangerous. We have fires almost every day. I want to know what is the safety plan, because if we look at what happened since we have informal settlements and how fires is destroying people, homes and their lives, we lost people almost every week, and that's too much. So what in their safety plan are they not doing correctly? And how can national government and the provincial governments come together with municipalities to look at safety plans? Because according to me, that is very, very important. And then I want to say to Stellenbosch Municipality, they can correct me if I'm wrong. They said every informal settlement have toilets and have water. So the last time we went for a site visit to the GIF, there was no water. They were also drinking river water. There was no toilets. So when did they went to go and install water at the GIF? And when did they put up toilets in the GIF? And we have a place that we didn't visit that is as worse, I think more worse than the GIF. The people that went with know how dangerous the GIF is and the conditions. So we have a place called Slaptown. There is no water in Slaptown, and there is no toilets in Slaptown. And if there is, then they have to rectify me if there is water. Mr. Chairperson, Honorable Chairperson, my problem now is if they can say so boldly there is toilets and water here in all informal settlements, what else are they? Is this report a true reflection of what is really happening in Stellenbosch? And then they are going to move the GIF, the people in the GIF, they are going to move when Earth 64 is ready. There is people that is here that went to the GIF. If you have to go down, you have to go down in a very steep down. I almost fell. So if you fell, you can roll down. It's very high up and you have to go down. So how is it possible that people, because they can lose their lives just by going down to their homes, because it's like climbing a mountain up and down. It's mountain, it's high, it's down under. So why didn't they move that people yet? That people is in danger, believe me if I say it. And if you don't believe me, please come and do another site visit and come and look just at the GIF and at Slaptown, because it's impossible the way the people are living there. And I also wanted to know how long the packaging is going to take. Now I hear it's 3 to 5 years. And the problem that I have with 3 to 5 years is what is happening to the people, because we have to face the facts. The fact is we are losing people. The people are losing their houses day by day. So which means they have to go and stay in informal settlement. They are forced to go and stay in informal settlements. It's getting compact. The way Langerig is compact. You can't even walk through their houses. And that is what's going to happen in Jamestown. So what's the plan with that? They said they have, they must correct me also, because I'm talking about remembering. This is just memory. They said they have 7 informal areas, 7 informal settlement areas that they can take people to. Why are they not using all the areas? Because they are not using all the areas. They're using Langerig, they're using Jamestown, the GIF, and Slaptown is not seen as an informal settlement because that is illegal. People that staying there with no basic sanitation and needs. So they are not using all 7. So when are they going to use the rest of the informal settlements? Because 3 to 5 years is a very, very long time. And just imagine, it's like, let's say for argument's sake, 20 people in a month is going to Jamestown. And that's another thing. Mr. Rubain said that they are moving people to Jamestown. I am looking now for someone that lost her house, her house burned down 12 October. I wanted him to give her a place in Jamestown. He personally told me people is hostile in Jamestown. So What is going to happen with these people that is supposed to be transferred to Jamestown? The people in Jamestown are hostile, which means people, there's going to be fights. So again, where's the safety plan? What is going to happen to the people in these areas? Jamestown in itself, because I went there to the committee last night. I made an effort to do that because Jamestown is the one that gets the most informal settlement bungalows or Wendy houses. There is not enough water. We walked around there. There is not enough water. There is not enough toilets for all that people. So what are they going to do if they are going to get more people that is coming in to Jamestown? And already what is there is not enough for them that is already there. So how are they going to deal with that problem? And then let me come back to Earth 64 that they are talking about. Again, people are going to fight if other people is going to come in for Earth 64 because Kano people have a long list of people that's waiting for houses. And they already told us because we had a community meeting there because we wanted to make 100% sure that they are going to take on the people of the GIF to come and stay there. They said no. So what is going to happen now? And when are they going to move the people of the GIF to a more safer place? And let me tell you this, these people, they want to move because the way they are staying in the GIF is terrible, terrible, terrible. And how can we allow, if we are human, to allow people to stay in that kind of conditions? The same with Sleepdown. So that is the two informal settlements that needs urgently to be moved. The question is, to where are they going to be moved? Who is going to move them and to where? So I really want, and it's not that I don't trust them, but like I said, I just heard that they said that a lot of stuff. So what I want to know is, if they are doing counting, who of national government is going with, or who in national government is checking all these countings? Because is these countings correct? They count that I mean, to stay from 86 for 37 years, the people in the GIF is staying there for 37 years. It's inhuman, and really, if there is something that we have to look at very, very urgently and get a report from the people that was at the site visit, the people in the GIF is staying in a dangerous place. And let me tell you, you are opening yourselves up for lawsuits because it's a disaster waiting to happen. Because you have to climb a mountain to get to your place. How can you climb a mountain to get to your home? So how can they still stay there? It's a year. It's after a year after they were told this is an emergency and they have to move their people. I think that is that. So if I can just summarize very, very quickly, that is really very important to me. It's a safety plan because people are losing their lives in informal settlements. A safety plan is it's needed. It's much, much needed. And I urge you and I beg you for all of you to come together to work out a proper safety plan, because it's like people are not even hearing when they say there was a fire, we need clothes, we need shoes, we need this. We need a proper safety plan. We need to move the people of the GIF, and we need to move the people of Sleepdown to a much, much safer place. And I thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so, so very much.
Thank you very much, Marianne. Chief Director. Hello.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think you're speaking to me. So thank you to the citizen for providing us with inputs and very valid inputs. We appreciate you raising it with us. As the citizen indicated, there are 3 key issues. I'm going to ask David, Mr. Ali, to speak to the fire safety engineering guidelines that the Western Cape developed in conjunction with the Stellenbosch University, ironically. And then if the municipality or David would like to input further on the slapdown and GIF informal settlements to speak to some of the citizens' concerns. Thank you, Chairperson.
Chair, may I proceed? Chair,
yes, proceed. Yes, proceed.
All right. Thank you, Chair. I think we take note of the safety requirement as Ms. August alluded to earlier. We went into partnership with Stellenbosch, having seen what is happening and ravaging our informal settlement in Western Cape. There is currently a fire safety guideline on the table. We are looking for partners. I think this is one of the areas maybe we should promote that safety guideline to yourself and to all available partners that can help us to make it to reach the communities we are targeting. We've utilized NGOs extensively to promote the fire safety guidelines. We've also shared it with municipality across the province to be able to educate and capacitate communities in terms of what are the guidelines, what are the safety measures that we can implement. Leading to what I said earlier, there are a basket of solutions that we are looking at to resolve or to arrest the issues that is experienced in informal settlement. Some of them are we're looking at upgrading plans to be able to identify the various challenges and the quick wins in that regard. Social compact. The citizens also mentioned the hostility. We are looking at social compact. Some of the projects that we spoke about earlier are linked to a social compact that identify what needed to happen, and the cooperation of the community is eminent in there. Having said that, most of the informal settlement have got basic services. We all know that the number and the growth of this informal settlement are on a daily basis. And the vandalism that we also experience are some of the issues that we also share with the community, that the vandalism must also be part of what we write our social compact on, so that we limit on operation and maintenance. So we are looking at all measures to be able to get services to our people. The Western Cape, following what National has prescribed to say we are reblocking settlement, our own approach in Western Cape is called super blocking, whereby a big chunk of informal settlement, we use road to break down into smaller, manageable chunks. So that's some of the things that we are doing. In terms of counting, note the counting that Madam Mariana mentioned. The counting is in collaboration with the municipality, and in some cases with the NGO, and in other cases with the community that is responsible for the jurisdiction where the informal settlement find themselves. I think the lot in terms of relocation of the settlement of GIF, and the municipality will be able to respond to that. Over to you, Chair, if the response is sufficient. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Municipality?
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just 2 points of clarity, and thank you, Mrs. Nuran, for those questions and points. The one aspect that you were referring to was the emergency housing assistance policy and the guidelines or the prescribes of the emergency housing policy. So to just give everybody context, where that comes from is that over time, through Pi and Esther, evictions case law has been developed. And that in terms of that case law, 2 things must happen. One is that the municipality must record all the information of the person being evicted. And secondly, a meaningful engagement must be held in order to determine if the municipality can provide the alternative accommodation or not, and if that is if they should provide the alternative accommodation, where that accommodation must be. Now, so in terms of our emergency housing assistance policy, where the municipality has a housing project under construction with the emphasis on under construction, up to 10% can be used for of that shall I say, development can be used for emergency housing cases in various forms and formats. Doesn't mean that everybody is necessarily qualifying for a top structure, but that's basically what the emergency housing policy does. However, what has happened since that the municipality has completed all of his, or most of his, of its construction projects, and the next construction projects will only commence in 2025-26 financial year, as mentioned earlier about Jamestown. And then the emergency housing assistance policy would obviously kick in again. In the meantime, the municipality is embarking on, and it's already at an advanced stage, if I'm not speaking under correction, of identifying land that is suitable for dealing with alternative accommodation cases, where we can accommodate people geographically in the area where you are being evicted from. Again, that is not a permanent or long-term solution, because the issue with land is that there's only X amount, and once that's used, it is basically used up. In terms of the service and enumerations, Mrs. Nuran, we do, from our side, do surveys constantly or continuously. And we have in fact, a tender out now to survey most of the larger informal settlements in Stellenbosch municipal area. The smaller ones, our department does ourselves. But what that, the access, obviously you are asking for access for information. So we do release the information, but strictly in accordance with what the PAIA Act allows for releasing. Then you asked about a safety plan. Our disaster management department constantly or continuously have various sessions of safety in informal settlements. But as you rightly mentioned, informal settlements are prone to fires and flooding and natural disasters. And part of the reason there is also that whilst we try to convince people, or at least get them to stick to the 1 meter minimum space between structures, you find that over time people extend and the structures are next to each other, and that basically is like fuel for a fire. So you find that where we worked last with National in Zone O, that the density was so high, notwithstanding our efforts to reduce densities, that quite a significant number of structures were raised by that fire. Then there was one more thing that you asked. How does it go? Oh yes, you asked about Slapdown and the GIF. I just want to emphasize that we had discussions with these people pre and post the last year's parliamentary visit or committee visit. And I mentioned also earlier that we indicated to them we need to find some space to move them to, and their answer was that they're not moving if they're not moving to Earth 64. So basically, and some of the people are quite elderly at the GIF, which would mean that they stand first in line basically for a better opportunity than just a Wendy house or an emergency kit, should they be moved at that stage. We also mentioned to them there are 1 or 2 other options within the Dwas River Valley that we could investigate. Again, the municipality does not necessarily have property in that area, which makes it much more difficult, but those options were presented to them. Then you also mentioned about the ABS in Jamestown, and I just want to categorically state that Jamestown, and you can verify that against our ABS matrix, has the best provision of ablution facilities. They're the only large or bigger settlement that has a better than 1:5 ratio of provision of toilets at this stage. In fact, they are 1:2, and what happens in Jamestown is that the municipality provides chemical toilets. And those chemical toilets, as soon as they arrive, people take ownership of them. So instead of 5 families using that toilet, it is me and my buddy basically that uses the toilet. And so basically there's about 208 structures currently in Jamestown. And I think we are providing 170, if I'm not speaking under correction, 170 chemical toilets at an exorbitant amount monthly for the municipality to service those toilets. Then lastly, about Slaptown, Mrs. Noran, is that Slaptown had a fire, if you can recall, a couple of years ago. Most of the people were removed from Slaptown and accommodated all over Clutisville, and even some in the community hall in Clutisville. Over time, people have moved back to Slaptown for various reasons. Now, Slaptown is a very important area for the municipality, because in order to move forward with the northern extension as well as the social housing project that is just north of Slaptown, the municipality needs to, shall I say, improve access to that area. And part of that is that becomes the route underneath that bridge where Slaptown is, becomes part of the broader road improvement plan of the municipality. So lastly, I just want to say, if you can recall, we moved also quite a number of people of Slaptown to other areas from where they were basically forcefully removed by the community members, and we had to accommodate them somewhere. So again, I just want to reiterate that we have plans in place, as I mentioned, about the social housing and northern extension to deal with Slaptown, and those are on our housing pipeline and on the business plan for the following couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I see the hand of Honorable Dutebe. Is it a legacy hand?
No, Chair.
Yes.
To ask a question. Just as a general question, Chair, how is the municipality doing just on the MIG? Are they happy with the way they are spending? Perhaps, you know, tied to everything else that's been raised so far.
Municipality.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for the question. Yes, just in terms of spending on actual infrastructure, because I think that's what the question from the honourable member is alluding to. The municipality, as a municipality, we're quite satisfied with our spend on infrastructure. We have an approved capital expenditure framework, which is linked to our municipal SDF, and which speaks to the provision of bulk services to the places where we are expecting development. I don't have the exact amounts at my fingertips now, Chairperson, but we are doing well in terms of our spend on infrastructure, and we can provide the committee with our historical spend on infrastructure and also our approved capital expenditure framework, which portrays our proposed future spend on capital over the next 10 years as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. We'll appreciate that, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Khakilwe.
Thank you very much, Chair, and let me welcome the presentation. I just want to ask with regard to the packaging Is it not possible that the municipality can revisit this time frame of 5 years? Because really it's not possible for, they've explained the steps and steps and steps, but if people are committed enough, the period of 5 years can be reduced to at least a year. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Municipality.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will venture to answer the question posed by the honourable member. Chairperson, the time frame of 3 to 5 years, as indicated by Mr. Van Staffel, who is the manager housing development, is basically a generalization. So what he's saying is, from the date that we identify that a site has potential for housing development, it could take us 3 to 5 years before we actually start, turning sod on the specific site. This is obviously informed historically by our previous experiences in terms of projects, that we've implemented over time. But it is not the norm for all projects, Chairperson. Some projects, the packaging process can take a bit shorter than that, and but most of it that we've done so far range with within the time frame of 3 to 5 years. And there's various reasons for that, Chairperson. All sites are not the same. Sites have the own unique attributes that one has got to consider. One has got to consider the surrounding communities, the provision of bulk services to the site. There's a whole lot of different things that need to be considered before one can actually move on site, because you don't want to just, in haste, move on to a site, accommodate people, and then find out you are burdened with a whole host of insurmountable obstacles that you did not take into account, before the people moved onto the site. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. DDG Zama.
Thanks, Chair. Greetings to yourself, Chair, and the members of the Portfolio Committee, the DG, and colleagues. Maybe, Chair, my submission to the meeting will be informed by the directives that were issued by the Minister. But Chair, I will want to maybe start with the 13 million rands allocated to Stellenbosch, so that maybe ourselves, the province, and the Portfolio Committee were on the same page. The 13 million rands, I believe, the Deputy Minister was citing was this financial year, Honorable Chair. When DM was citing the figure, I quickly went through the system to establish if the figure is closer to what the DM is saying. According to our records, Chair, the figure is definitely the figure that we have, a figure of 30 million rands for Kayamandi Zone O, which according to our record, it's one for this financial year on the approved business plan. It's a 13 million rands that has been approved, which looks at issues of sanitation, also electrification, and also the internal services, Chairperson. I believe that maybe colleagues, what they presented, it's the revised business plan that is still to be approved by the minister. But what has been approved, I think I can definitely confirm that according to our record, the figure that was cited by the Honorable Deputy Minister was correct, Chairperson. Chairperson, the minister issued directives that of which I think the colleagues maybe should adhere to, so that maybe when we brief the portfolio committee, we brief the portfolio committee in line with the directives that were issued by the minister that informs the processes going forward, because the minister is a custodian, as an executive authority, is a custodian of policy. The minister said we must prioritize the relocation of category C informal settlement in the ISOP grant. Also, then relocate those informal settlements. Also, the reblocking of informal settlements and prioritize vulnerable groups, as maybe the lady was saying. I must indicate, Chairperson, that we've held meetings at Stellenbosch that were facilitated by our IGR, where we raised these issues in line with the prior visit of the portfolio committee in the previous administration. I thought, Chair, I must raise those issues because we should be maybe straight forward when we raise these issues, and also the issue of the norms and standards. The colleagues are aware of the norms and standards in terms of the ratios as far as the water standpipes are concerned, the water and sanitation, sort of the sanitation or the pollution facilities are concerned. The last part, Chair, maybe I'll confirm, is that last week we did receive a request for support from the province, from the municipality through the province on the emergency housing, which is what we indicated that will be processing in line with our own departmental policies. I thought, Chair, I must cite those things on our side as the National Department, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think what it says, if portfolio committee members agree with me, is that we will need to make a follow-up oversight visit to Stellenbosch to see what we have discussed today, to check progress from the last visit by the portfolio committee to now. I think in terms of the reports, they are reporting progress. Also, DDG Zama talks about the support that they will be providing to the municipality through the province. I think this means that because the portfolio committee has already visited there, they must have demanded certain things. We will need to do a follow-up visit to Stellenbosch to make sure that what was promised is really given, and what is reported today, it is what is happening on the ground. I think we'll talk about that. Secretary will look at it. If members agree, we'll look at it and see where can we slot it so that we are able to make certain follow-up as a result of the visit by the last portfolio committee.
For the Chair.
Honorable Jitebe, supported. Okay. I don't see any member having a problem with it. We just have to slot it into our program. We're going to step off from this item, but I'm also going to release our visitors so that we remain as members dealing with the last item. Chief Director, your parting words?
Chairperson and members, thank you very much for your time and the inputs provided, and for the interest in informal settlements. To also acknowledge the municipality. There was some corn about security, some words earlier about security of tenure. I can also indicate to the committee that this municipality takes an active interest in title deed restoration as well, and plans proactively to ensure that whatever is outstanding in terms of developmental approvals is action to ensure title deed and firm security of tenure. Thank you very much to the committee for your time.
Thank you, DG. I know DG has an emergency. I don't know whether he's back now. DG, are you back?
Here. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here, Chairperson. And thanks very much for the opportunity to brief the committee. And we have also taken notice of the matters of Stellenbosch. And we will, as we have been working closely with the province and the municipality, continue to work in tandem to ensure that the concerns of the community are actually addressed. Chairperson, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DG. DM, your parting words?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, I think we have noted the issues which were raised by the activist that has presented to the portfolio committee today, because I think the DG would agree with me that it was for the first time that we get to hear a presentation from an activist on matters like this in the portfolio committee. And as the DG is saying, we will make a follow-up on some of the issues, because for a lack of a better word, somehow the report which is presented here is disputed. There's reluctance to accept it on the side. That's my analysis, Chair, because she believes that what is on the ground doesn't correlate with what is presented to the portfolio committee. And I also accept your parting shot, Chair, as a portfolio committee, to say you will make a follow-up visit to Stellenbosch, and the department will be working closely with the portfolio committee if there's any information the portfolio committee will require around the issues of Stellenbosch. I must say, Chair, also that the presentation by Stellenbosch Municipality comes 2 days after I visited the Matsikama Kleve municipality, and the informal settlements there. They are in a dire situation where there are no basic services, none or whatsoever. Something that goes to what the activist has raised around the issue of the Human Rights Commission and the rights, and all of us as legislators, as government, we know exactly that our constitution gives rights to basic services to all citizens of the country. So it's an issue of constitutionality. So all spheres of government are expected to uphold every prescript of the Constitution. It's not a matter of us being reminded by the Human Rights Commission. It's a principle and a commitment that we've made when we took responsibility to say that we want to serve the people. So that's my parting shot, Chairperson, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I know you are not well, DM. Thanks for attending. Wishing you a speedy recovery. Hope to see you on Friday. DG, tomorrow we're meeting, as we promised, we're meeting with the Mawika petitioners. You remember that in our last meeting, we said the national department, either your office or your delegate, will coordinate a progress report. Even if it's not, everything is not final, but the committee would want to hear progress report. I'm just reminding you to say tomorrow, as we meet with them, we'll need somebody from your department who will then report to the committee, who will coordinate progress report and report to the committee. DJ? Is the DG still here?
Yes, I'm still here, Chairperson. Indeed, we will avail DDG Dumalisile to be able to support the committee and to report on the matter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think we're going, thank you very much. We're going to deal with minutes. We can release everybody except members of the portfolio committee who are going to deal with the minutes. It's our last item. Am I correct, Secretary? Secretary?
Sorry, Chair. Yes, Chair, you are correct. This is our last agenda item.
Yes, can we release others as you?
Yes, you can
present
release
the minutes?
others, Chair.
Thanks very much for attending. DG and your delegation, DM, and the staff from the ministry, delegation from the Western Cape province, delegation from the Stellenbosch municipality, the activists. We really want to thank you. Let's continue working together to make sure that we improve the lives of our people. We'll definitely do a follow-up visit to check what is happening. Can you fly the minutes?
Can you see them, Chair?
Yes, we can see. Start from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, the minutes of the meeting of the 13 November 2024. There's the agenda. Let's move on. There's the roll call, attendance and apologies. Next item. Opening and welcome, apologies. Let's move on. Consideration and adoption of agenda, opening remarks by Chairperson.
Chairperson, sorry about that.
Sorry, Honorable Ditebe.
Kindly, can we go back to the the issue relating to the non-attendance of the deputy minister. We just want to see what it is that has been recorded there.
Okay. Can we go back? The members bemoaned the non-attendance of committee meetings by the deputy minister, stating that it was unacceptable. They were of the view that she was disregarding the work of the committee and that her poor attendance should be addressed. In the absence of the minister, the deputy minister should attend and account to the committee. It was alleged that during the KZN oversight visit, she accentuated the work of the committee. Some believed that if there was meeting warranting the minister and deputy minister's attendance, then their absence would be questioned. However, an apology has been tendered and it should be acknowledged, especially when someone was not well. The chairperson undertook to raise the concerns of members on the non-attendance of the deputy minister with both the minister and deputy minister, and would revert to the committee on their reactions regarding the KwaZulu-Natal oversight visit. The minister, deputy minister, and the department were invited to accompany the committee. The tendered apologies were accepted. Yes, Honorable Ditebe.
No, Chair, I think it's okay. I wanted to see the accentuation part, what that in context meant.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Honorable Gamede.
Yes, Chair. No, I just wanted to report that I'm trying to head towards the airport, so that I want you to understand that, because you might the line might be bad anytime soon.
Okay, let's be quick.
Okay,
Let's
thanks.
move on. Let's move on. Consideration and adoption of agenda. Opening remarks.
Chair, the consideration. Makasi Dlamini moved for adoption, seconded by Kehakil. They just have to bring back the other words. Some moved.
Okay. Note that amendment. Right, 5.1, 5.2, 6, briefing by the department. Let's move on. (6.2), let's move on. Shra. 7. 7.2. Members will remember that we were dealing with a number of minutes on that day. Resolutions. The department and Shra should change. Yeah, let's go on.
Chair.
Yes.
The minutes, they are just moving so fast. But there was somewhere where there was a response to the letter from Honorable Member Poole. But in the minutes, they've written that it is not captured the way you said it. You said you could not share the report with us because it was addressed to the chairperson of the board. So if they can change that one, because you couldn't share with us because it was addressed to the chairperson of the board, not to you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that amendment, I remember. With those amendments, can I get a mover and a seconder for the adoption?
The mover.
Honorable Betty Karakilwe. Oh, you are suggesting.
I'm suggesting Gamete to move a second.
Gamete says he's on the way to the airport.
Okay, I raised to move for the adoption of the minutes, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Abada.
Second, Chair.
We're gonna run another shift. Yeah, we're gonna run around and see all of them then. Now, okay.
Yeah.
See you a little later. Yeah.
Honorable Abata seconding. Any alternative view? Nothing. Thanks. The minutes are adopted. I just want to report on the issue of the deputy minister. I spoke to the minister, I spoke to the deputy minister, and I also spoke to the whip, their whip, which is Honorable Ditebe. What I found is that indeed the deputy minister was sick and she was put on leave. And as I spoke to her, because she was so worried, she said she will attend today's meeting, but I think you could hear that she's not as yet well. And she even promised that she might have to attend even Friday's meeting because she doesn't want to be seen as if she's running away from meetings. But indeed, she was sick and put off by the doctor. I think that's what I wanted to report to the committee as promised.
Accepted.
Chair,
Okay.
we accept that, but there is just one caveat I think that one needs to have there. For me, it is quite important that whenever we discuss issues in the committee, we should do so with the view to seeking first to understand. Our country is confronted with a whole lot of challenges. You would have heard from the side of the story of the activist with regards to the informal settlement and how long it takes for people to be moved from one area to another. But nonetheless, I subscribe to the notion of suspending my assumptions or judgment and establish upon the presentation of facts my own truth. So I'm saying this, Chair, because the tone that was used with regards to the absence of the deputy minister by one of the members of the committee, in my view, was quite intemperate and judgmental. And I'm just saying, as a matter of principle, it is important that when we deal with these kinds of things, we do not rule or regret what we have said after we have established the facts, because if somebody is not well, we should also take into account the right to privacy of a person and to then engage in some imputations that the deputy minister might, after all, not be telling the truth is quite hurtful, especially once we establish that indeed she was ill. And I think in hindsight, I feel good about the fact that you led us in dealing with this issue and, in cautioning us to be careful until you had established the facts. I'm just saying in future, Chair, it is important because any one of us is vulnerable to any kind of ailment. It's called the human condition, and we should understand that anybody can get ill, and it would not feel okay at all. One would not feel okay at all if people, suggested that one was playing truant or something like that. Thank you, Chair. I thought I should make those remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are done with the minutes, Secretary. Secretary, are you still with me?
Yes, Chair, we are done. Sorry, we are done, Chair. We are done for today. Thank you, Chair.
Can you quickly, I know members must travel to airport en route to Tshwane. Can you quickly, or KC, can you quickly brief members, where are they sleeping? What time are we starting tomorrow? Where is the venue of the meeting tomorrow? What's happening? Quickly.
Okay, Chair. We are going to meet at the airport OR Tambo this evening, Chair. We'll wait for all the members that are going to fly from different provinces to OR Tambo, and then from there we will move to Sheraton Hotel in Pretoria. Then tomorrow we will take our combis and then we'll be driving to the boardroom at the department building. Boardroom, we will meet them with the Mawiga Haranguwa petitioners. Then we'll sleep over again in Sheraton Hotel. Then in the morning, we will drive to Johannesburg Premier Hotel, where we will be meeting with the premiers, with the MECs from 9 till 5. Thanks, Chair. Casey, do you have something to add?
No, Koliswa, you've covered everything. Just that some of the members have indicated that they will drive to Sheraton. So I'm just double checking. You know, we only have 2 vehicles. So those that can go to Sheraton, they're obliged to go and they can check in after 2.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are we together, members? We're all understood, ne?
Understood, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let's meet tonight over dinner at Sheraton or tomorrow morning over breakfast. Hope to see you this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day. The meeting stand adjourned. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Chair. Bye.
Thanks, Chair. Bye, everybody. See you later.